Hello, how are you doing? Welcome to Lawyers Info Hub. It's a pleasure to have you here. So today we're looking at the difference between deed of assignment and contract of sale. The difference between contract of sale and deed of assignment. In real estate in Nigeria, most especially, these two documents stands out, and it's very important that you understand the difference. As a lawyer, as a person who has knowledge, as a law student, in a property law, land law classes, these documents, we are taught about them, we know them, we have been taught how to draft them, the content, and all of that. But in practice, most times, many lawyers confuse the both and use them. And some other time, many clients wants maybe contract of sale for a deed of assignment. Well, they know we agreed to do contract of sale, and sometimes you need to explain to them. Most times you've seen lawyers, even after explanation to clients, and they insist on this is what I want. You go, you do it. For example, you've seen where clients are saying, what I want is a power of attorney, because that is what is used in that location, irrespective of what they are buying a property, and they say we want a power of attorney, and you're trying to tell them a power of attorney is it's just an instrument of delegation and all of that. You tell them the law and all of that. They say, no, that is what is obtainable there. So, it's a matter of it's a matter of practice over time. People now utilize that mode. So, but it still doesn't take away the fact that there are differences between this between the deed of assignment, the contract of sale, power of attorney, with respect to what land transaction. So, when you want to buy a property, when a client wants to buy a property, has seen the property, has done his search, is comfortable with the property, and so they begin to negotiate. This contract of sale comes up to say which contains the contents and conditions of the purchase price, what is expected of the buyer, what is expected of the seller. You know, Normally the right thing is that it does not, when a contract of sale is being done, what it passes is just the equitable title to the purchaser, not the legal title. The legal title rests with the seller, and he holds it in trust for the purchaser. Now, when a contract of sale has been signed, what it intends or what it means is that the vendor is committed to the transaction, to go ahead again to sell to another person or start opening up discussion with another person, and it gives room for also the buyer to look into other things. If there's a proprietor, is a property of the family property, who is selling, who is permitted to sell, if it's a property are supposed to be backed up with letters of administration. Are there what letters of administration? Look at the issues of physical defect and all of that. So in the course of still going through, want to buy and all of that, this contract of sale is being what signed, and to commit each party to conclude the transaction. Now, the date of any party to the transaction does not end the transaction. If the buyer dies, and this representative or his heirs can still continue with the transaction. If the seller dies, his representative, his children, or whoever is involved, can still proceed with the transaction. A contract of sale, what another thing it prevents is a last minute withdrawal. You see someone has committed to paying, it's now to pay, you're withdrawing, you're no longer interested, whereby the seller has discarded other possible buyers. So what the contract of sale does is that it stops or prevents last minute withdrawal. So it is a document is signed in transaction, so that both parties will understand that we are in this for this, we'll conclude this, these are the terms, so that one party will not, be liable in breach, will not withdraw from the transaction. It protects the equitable interest of the purchaser. I want to purchase, maybe you have made part payment of maybe or you want to spread the payment in installmental. That contract of sale is what you use pending when you finish payment and all of that. Then the whole legal interest in the property is transferred to you via a deed of what of assignment. Now, what the contract of sale does, that it also crystallize all that both parties have agreed. We have agreed that I'll be paying payment every month for 6 months. Um, there are also things, maybe, or maybe people are living in the house and say, okay, I'll give you 6 months for you to evict people that are living in the house, or there are other things, or we're going to fix this, we're going to fix this, or we're going to. There are some agreements, or and discussions buyers and sellers do have in a transaction. So at the end of the day, the buyer will have best of what he's buying. So all those discussions will be cumulated into the contract of sale, which at the end of each party will do what is expected of them. If the seller is supposed to put the house in a particular um, shape, he's supposed to do this, get this document, he's required to get all that. So what the contract of sale does is that everybody knows their duties or their terms or what they're supposed to do, and they begin to do it so as the transaction can be what crystallized. So is that agreement you do to everybody is being held responsible for the perfection of the transaction. Another thing is that another thing contract of sale does is that the seller cannot just because other people are buying increase the purchase price unilaterally. No, because you have signed a contract of sale, you cannot just say it's no more 50 million, it's not 200 million because you have seen like five people interested in the property. So what it does for you is that it cuts down all those going back and forth. You have agreed with someone, after 1 month, the person is coming up to tell you you're going to pay more. So that's one of the things contract of sale does for you. You know, so a deed of assignment, on the other hand, is that document that proves that the seller has transferred, the absolute ownership of the property to the buyer. You know, absolute ownership, or transfer may not be even physical, because the property cannot hand it over to another. Rather, by signing that document, mean this person, the seller, has transferred all legal rights, title over this property the seller has transferred it to the buyer. A deed of assignment, you can go ahead to register it, at the appropriate lands registry, and you can also assign to another person, provided the buyer now buys the property and say wants to sell, and you're in a good position to what sell. So with the deed of assignment, payment have been made, all the T's and the I's have been crossed and dotted, everybody's good, then a deed of assignment will now be prepared by the parties. They will now sign, and they are good to go. The seller will no longer be the owner of the property, but there's a transfer of ownership to the buyer, and the buyer cannot take actual possession of the property, proceed, to do the registration and do other things he wants to do. So, as a lawyer who's advising a client, let them understand these two things. Depending on also what the client wants, you should also let them know that this is, even though it's what you want, but this is a consequence. Peradventure, this it comes up and all of that, this is what you should face. And because of the jurisdictional challenge or differences we have, like, just like in the eastern part of Nigeria where we use power of attorney, power of attorney is being prepared for sale of land. A lot of people have made that argument that it's not proper, but because it's something they've been using, you begin to see that it is proper for you to use an irrevocable power of attorney to sell a property. But what we were taught is different from that, you know. So in such instance, you also explain to that client, provided you have a client who's buying property in that part of the country, you also let the client know, okay, because it is the usage, but that is not the thing. Yes, you need to know, you need to state it as it is. So contract of sale is that document you prepare while negotiating the before the completion of the transaction. You have listed out what the advantages, to the purchaser, to the buyer, your terms and conditions, the agreement have been put on a paper, both parties have agreed. So you don't spring us surprises of increase of purchase price overnight. It prevents both parties from unilaterally withdrawing before a buyer will not say, I'm no more buying, because you're committed to the contract. So once you do anything that's contrary to that contract, it's a breach of that contract. So it's after all the payments have been done, you know, I's and the T's have been crossed, then you cannot prepare the deed of assignment. Because at the level of contract of sale, what the buyer has is equitable title, equitable interest, because the seller is still holding the land in trust. You see the one with the legal title. Now, after the payment have been done, confirmed, the deed of assignment will now be done, reflecting those agreed terms and both parties and the obligation both parties have agreed to, and the legal title to the property is now transferred to the buyer. Very, very important. The buyer can now proceed to register that deed of assignment in the appropriate legal land registry in that locality. So these two documents are always quite confusing. So you must know. We have also, I also, like I earlier stated, I've also seen where a deed of assignment was just drafted like a contract of sale, but there's still difference in the nomenclature, what the content should be, So drafting of this document is a separate topic we're going to discuss, but they are similar, but there are things that makes them different. But you understanding what each of them stands for also guide you in understanding or knowing how to draft them. So don't confuse these two documents, and don't confuse them. They are two different things. They are two different things, and they're two different things, and I know that you'll be able to learn what each of them represents. If you're yet to subscribe to the channel, please do hit the subscribe button, share this video, drop your comment if you have any question. We will attend to it. Thank you. We have other content, wonderful content on the platform, on the channel. Please do watch them. We have over 200 content, law content on this channel. Go to our channel, watch them. You will enjoy them. It's full of information, full of wonderful tips, insights that will help you become a better lawyer, help you become a better law student. Thank you very much. Thank you.